It might be a little oversimplistic, and people say money doesn't buy happiness, but man, that's how I keep score is money. Because I know a whole lot more happy rich people than I do happy poor people.
This is true. Tell us, what are some of the biggest myths you think are out there about the oil industry?
I'm a big movie buff, and one of my favorite movies is The Usual Suspects. And one of my favorite quotes in that movie is the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. I would say the greatest myth out there, I'd massage that quote a little bit and say the greatest trick environmentalists ever pulled was convincing the world oil was bad. Because truly the modern world was built on oil, on American oil. And I think that's the biggest myth out there. That's the biggest untold story in our country's history is the value that oil plays in our life and what it's done for us. I mean, watch Apollo 13. What was the one thing they had to have? Didn't matter all the calculations, none of the other stuff mattered. They had that one thing to make it back. Energy. If they didn't have that energy, they wouldn't have made it back. Wouldn't have been able to thaw out the parachute. I mean, well, that's how vital energy is. That is what oil has done for our country. I mean, talk about automobiles, talk about everything else that oil has allowed us to do in addition to the products. Heck, we made a movie here last year. I was at the office about 6:30 one morning before Christmas, just kind of going through the year-end stuff. And I was here by myself, and I was making a cup of coffee. And I'm looking around the kitchen at the office, and I don't know why I did it. I've never done it before. I've been doing this my whole life. But I said, well, that was made from oil. That was made from oil. And I just kind of went through the kitchen and itemized everything that was made from oil. And when I was done, I was blown away. I said, well, and I kind of talked to myself at that point. I said, whoa, hang on, Jay. If you're blown away with this and you've been doing this your whole life, how many other people don't know? And so we made a little movie. If we were going to call it a day without oil, however, when we got to putting it together, it would have been too long. And so we just switched it and made it a morning without oil. And we just took a couple, and we tried to do it with a little humor. And we just took a regular couple and had them wake up and then kind of set the stage where, hang on, we're going to do a morning without oil. You got to start this day over. And then we took every product from oil out of the house. And you're literally living in the Stone Age.
Absolutely. One of the pictures that kind of brought that home for me is a few years ago. It's a very simple chart because you mentioned about how much is done for our country. It's more like how much it's done for the whole world. Because if you look at energy consumption per capita versus GDP per capita for all the countries in the world, it's a perfect correlation. Right? This is across continents, across cultures, languages, religions, economies, whatever. Perfect correlation between how much energy is used per capita versus how much is the GDP per capita, or how wealthy a society is. In other words, if you take energy out of a society, you get poor. It's that simple. Like there's no no way around it.
No, it's the affluence of a country is measured by how much energy each citizen uses. I think the U.S. was 1.46 gallons a day per person, if they equated it like that, and that was almost a 0.5% or a half a gallon more than anybody else. I know I know exactly what you're saying. The affluence of a country is measured by how much each individual citizen uses in energy.
That's right. We have not yet, like to say it another way, we have not yet figured out, no country, no economy, no one's figured out how to be wealthy without consuming energy. Right? It's a different way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't. I mean, it's and that's where, and it's good. I mean, I truly believe that because really what I think you have happening, and this is just 2 cents from a good old country boy. For years, you had the left understood one thing a lot quicker than everybody else. If you control Hollywood, you control the culture. You control education, you control the information. You control Hollywood, the culture, education, the future, and if you control the media, you control the information. And they understood that first. And so we had to kind of move to the left over the years. And every time it corrected itself, it would correct, but it would be back to the left of center of where it was. And it just slowly kept moving. Well, what you've had happen over the years is, take guys like me, for example. I gave a Tea Party speech in 2012, and you noticed all the craziness going on. However, not to say anything about San Francisco and California, but it was off in California. Mm-hmm. It wasn't here. It's off in New York. It wasn't here. It didn't get my daily search, so I didn't focus any of my attention towards it. Well, now it is in my daily circle. And so you have a lot of people, a lot of businessmen that have been spending their lives not really focusing on what's going on here, because we're focusing all of our attention on making money. We're focusing all our attention on being successful. Well, now that's starting to impede it. And so now you have a lot of people that weren't paying attention before that are now paying attention, that are now realizing that 1 + 1 is not equaling 2, and we're trying to be told that it is, when it's not. It never will be. If somebody ever tries to tell you 1 + 1 is anything other than 2, they're wrong. And there's no way to justify it. I mean, it's wrong. And so you have a lot of people. And so I truly do think that the grown-ups will return. And I don't know how that's going to look at all, because I don't know where we go from here. I've never seen the country so polarized. I've never seen two separate groups of the same country look at one event and have completely different readings on how that event happened. I've never seen that before. It blows my mind, because a lot of times common sense. I mean, you look at the mask. I mean, doctors, they hurt themselves tremendously. I mean, they lost so much faith in the medical profession, because if Jay Burr can get on the internet and I can find not just the common sense reasons the mask didn't work, but the scientific mathematical reasons that the molecule was too small and it fit too much. Well, if I can find that, and yet you had every medical profession on the planet saying, "Oh, we have to," well, you're telling me 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 and asking me to believe it. And they did that over and over again. You had them talking about ivermectin. Ivermectin has been distributed more than almost any drug out there. We had more of a history on ivermectin than anything. And yet they said it was dangerous? No, you could have said it doesn't work. You could have said 100 different things, but you said it was dangerous. No, it's not dangerous. Then you tried to insult people and tell us that people are taking horse, really? Or you expect us to be that ignorant? I mean, I can read too. And so it's just, you have a break from reality that it baffles the mind. And once again, that's going down a rabbit hole that doesn't really do anybody good in the investing world. I look at making money in oil, and you hate to put it this way, but regardless of how this plays out, everybody's going to still need oil. And I had one of my partners ask me the other day, he said, "Jay, what happens if they take it?" I said, "John, if they take it, you and I got a whole lot more to worry about than the oil that they took." Because that's where it is. I mean, if it gets to that point, then there is no going back. But I can't envision that happening. We got, because by nature, people are good people. I truly believe that. I truly believe by nature, everybody wants the best for other people. And it's just, you have voices that have, you hate to say follow the money, but you have voices that if I follow the money, I see why they're stoking division. Because they make a profit in doing it. There's no profit in calm times. There's no profit in everybody getting along. And so,
Yeah,
I don't know. There's a reason old sayings are old sayings. There's truth to it. And I've heard follow the money for my entire life.